Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Much appreciated. Now, I've got a packed program which is going to show a lot of chart analysis as well as looking at a lot of the indicators to determine which direction we think the market for Bitcoin is going. Now, before I start, I do want to make it very, very clear to everyone that, as I do mention in every video, that I'm not a financial advisor and all my videos are purely for educational purposes only. Now, many of the chart analysis I do will come to become accurate and some will be inaccurate. As anyone who does the YouTube videos will tell you that you can't be 100% accurate or correct at all times. It's absolutely impossible. So where I do go wrong, I will always be happy to apologize and to say sorry that I think I got that wrong. For instance, in the last move, we predicted up to about 13,200, but the market went up to 16,000. Now, the reason why I thought 13,200 was the actual top was simply because if you look at the chart, on the left-hand side, you'll see that when we got to the 10,500 level here, what did we do? We corrected here. Then when we got to the 12,200, 12,400 level, we corrected here. So logically, 13,200, which was the next big wick up here, was where I thought would actually topple out. But this time, the market for Bitcoin went much further, which is fine. All I can say is that, as I've said in the many previous videos, when the market was towards the bottom of this channel here, towards the 21 weekly EMA around 10,300 level, I was buying and accumulating at that point. So I've made a big hefty profit up to 13,200. So I would prefer to focus on the profit that I made rather than the little bit of profit I didn't make up here. Because if you concentrate and think about and focus on the profit that you didn't make rather than the profit you did make, then you'll end up having a very unhealthy emotional view of the market. So that's the best way I can put it. You've got to take a healthy emotional view of the market by realizing that you've got to focus on what profit you do make rather than what you don't make. And if you followed me up to and missed out on this opportunity, all I can say is I'm very sorry. I didn't say to anybody to sell at 13,200 or to do anything else. I was just telling you what I'm doing. So I bought at the 10,300 and I sold at 13,200. And I'm very happy with the profit I made there. Yes, I missed out on that, but there'll be another opportunity when we get down here and we'll ride that back up again. But now we have more information to go by. We know that more than likely the very high probability is we're not going to stop at 13.2 or even probably at 14,000, which was the high over here. So the chances are we're going to go right the way through. So that gives us that bit more information. So what we missed out on here, we can more than make up for on this next move. So you've got to take that bigger picture view, and along the way you will miss out on little moves like this along the way, but you must take that bigger picture and know that somewhere down the line you're going to make it up, and need to take that healthy view by taking the emotions out of the picture. In essence, what I'm saying is that the videos that I do are my interpretation of the charts as I see them. They're not going to be perfect. Sometimes I'll get it right, sometimes I'll get it wrong. But what I do hope and expect is that for people to actually use the information, if you want to, that's your choice at the end of the day, to use the information that you see in my videos and to add it to the pool of knowledge from your own research that you do by watching other people's videos and your other sources that you may use, and then put them all together. And then by doing that, you can come to your own conclusions and then make your own decisions. So you take responsibility for your own decisions that you make. So I hope that's clear. So with that out of the way, without further ado, let's get cracking and have a look at what the charts are saying. Okay, we'll start off with the weekly chart and looking at the EMA, the exponential moving average on the weekly chart. So this yellow line here that's weaving through the Bitcoin price is the 21 weekly exponential moving average. And the interesting thing we need to find out is that, as I've shown you before, this yellow line is where the price of Bitcoin seems to always navigate back to. So if we just look at this bull run that we had in 2016 to 2017, you can see quite clearly that once the price moves away from the yellow line, it comes back to it repeatedly, over and over again to test it. And this has happened in all the previous bull markets. So what we can do is to expect this same thing to happen here. So currently, as you can see from here, we've left the yellow line here around about this point, around about 21st of September. And we've now had 6 weeks of a rising market. Now, if you look at the previous bull market, generally speaking, it takes around about 5 or 6 weeks for it to reach its peak. So like when we broke out here, it took 1 to 3 weeks to get to the peak before the market started to make its way back to the yellow line. And if you actually count the candles, you'll see that it takes between 12 to 14 weeks on average to get from the point that we've just passed on our way to the upward rally and back to the point where we come back and retest it again. So it takes around about 12 to 14 weeks to do that. So currently this is the point where we touched it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've had 6 candles, weekly candles. So we're halfway through our process of coming back to this yellow line again. Now, if we just take a trajectory and just draw this line here. Now you'd think that the line should carry on going there, but that's not accurate, simply because if you look at this here, when we had this rally, the actual gradient of the line was quite high, but as soon as we moved down to come back to touch it, we leveled off, flattened off. So while the gradient's gone up quite heavily here because of the increase in the price, what we can do is to expect the price or the yellow line to start leveling off and for this price to come back and retest it. Now, this is the point that I will be rebuying back. This is the strong buying entry point for anybody who's looking to get back into Bitcoins. If you're holding them for a long term, that's fine. That's a good strategy to do. But what I'm saying is, what I'm hoping to do is that I'm going to be patient and wait 1 week to 5 weeks to 6 weeks, whatever it takes for the price to come back down from there and retest the 21 weekly moving average. That will be my entry point to take it to the next level. And I'm hoping at the next rise, the next rally, we will be going towards the 20,000 mark. So let's wait and see what happens. But this is what I wanted to show you, that if you take the bigger picture, you'll realize that time and time again, as you can see from here, when it moves out of the 21 weekly, comes back to retest it, comes back, retests it. And this is what the logic tells us, that it's going to come back and retest it again. So I'm waiting for this point where the price comes back to retest the 21 weekly exponential moving average before I put in my buy orders and rebuy back all the Bitcoin. One thing that I am actually focusing on is actually this movement out of this channel. Now, I've drawn this channel many times before, and this is the current channel we are in, that we are going to be moving from this channel here and breaking out into the parabolic phase here to move to our target price of 300,000 up here at the end of next year, around the $300,000 mark. So if we just concentrate on what's happened here, because this is something that nobody was expecting, and now that it's happened, we need to actually have a look at what it could mean. Now, first of all, we have been moving in this channel from top to bottom, and we were expecting the market to top out here before we made a downward spiral back down to this level, and then for the next move into this parabolic phase here. However, it's done something unprecedented in the sense that it's broken out from here and gone up quite a bit. Now, if we measure the amount of increase in the Bitcoin price from the point of the breakout, let's say from there, it's around about 21% higher than the red channel, the top channel here, the top red resistance line. Now, what happened previously in the last bull market over here was very similar. However, it had different ingredients to it. So while we were waiting for this to happen and to come back down here, this happened instead. So we basically took all this time and totally ignored it, and we've done this a movement here in the price. So we moved out of the channel. Now, when we did move out of the channel, the price never came back into this channel. So we need to be cautious that this could, obviously everything is possible with Bitcoin, but we need to know what probability there is that now that the price over here has moved out of the channel, is this a breakout or a fake out? Now, like the price I've said to you has gone up by about 20%. Over here, the price actually, if I just take these away, that's it. Now, when it broke from this channel here, the price from the breakout, which was at $1,560 at that time, $1,560, it broke up to around about 88% higher before it came back and retested this top resistance line at the 1870 mark. Now, so far in this rally that we've had, we've only moved 20%. So it doesn't tell me that this move here is the same as this move that occurred over here. For me to actually believe that it's that same move, this candle or the next week's candle has to go much higher. I think if the price goes for Bitcoin at least 50 to 60% higher than this resistance line over here at 13,200, if it goes up to, let's take the 50% mark from there, would be around about, let's say 20,000. So if the price goes up between now to 20,000 in the next few weeks, then I will be convinced that instead of actually coming back into the red channel here and touching this 21 weekly exponential moving average, this yellow line, I will then be convinced that this move up to the 20,000 will be the one that actually comes back to retest this upper channel before we move into this parabolic phase. So just be aware of that. This is very, very important, that we are obviously thinking that, or I'm thinking, that it's going to come back and retouch the 21 weekly before we get into this parabolic phase. But however, if the current price goes from where it is around about the 15,000 mark and carries on going up to the 20,000, then for me anyway, the best point of entry will be when we come back and retest the upper channel of this red channel line here. If we are to move and test this upper channel line, then the chances are the 21 weekly exponential moving average will actually move up to that point anyway. So that will be our check that this is what it's going to do. Because you may have noticed while I was showing you the channel here that the 21 weekly exponential moving average actually moved through the channel, and this is exactly where the price came to settle. So this is what we've got to keep a mind on, is this particular movement around here. So when the price went above the channel, came back and retested the 21 weekly moving average, which happened to be at the top of this channel. So the next move is to actually wait until the 21 weekly exponential moving average moves towards the price, or the price moves towards the yellow line. And at that point, can we actually say that we have now come to the bottom of the price and we are now ready to go into our next move through the channel towards the parabolic phase of the Bitcoin price. So let's wait and see. This is what my thinking is around about here. A lot of things to take into account, but the simple thing is basically we're waiting for the price of Bitcoin to come back to the 21 weekly exponential moving average. Looking at the short-term analysis, if we just look at the price, obviously we topped out here at the moment at 16,000. It doesn't mean that it won't go further up than that. At the moment we're having a breather, but we followed this channel from the bottom of this red channel here, around about the 10,300 level, moved all the way up here. This is where we thought it was going to top out, around the 10,300 level. It's gone further to 16,000. It's now coming back down. And now we're following a particular chart pattern from previously over here. And this is the pattern I want to just show you again. Taking this pattern here all the way to there, and if we just move it across, we can have a look at what's happened. So this is this rise here, this bit here, and this bit is all this bit there, and we've obviously gone up to this point here, and now hopefully this is the move that we're hoping is taking place. Either we're here at this point and moving downwards towards this channel here, which this bit here is this at the bottom of the red channel. So we've started to make this move or this move over here now, and we're just consolidating here, either there or there. So whatever way, the trajectory, as you can see, even if it's from this point here, the trajectory is downwards. If this point is over here, the trajectory is still downwards. So I'm fully expecting the price from over here to go further down to meet the yellow 21 weekly exponential moving average that's currently around here, and this is where our entry point will be. So that's the current analysis. So what are the indicators that are suggesting which direction the market is going? So how do we know this is what it's actually happening, that it's on a downward trajectory? Let's have a look at a few of the indicators. Okay, so let's start off by looking at the EMA ribbons. And what these normally tell you is, if you just look through history, once we move above the ribbons, we tend to have a rally. And once we move down below this ribbon, once we break down, we tend to have quite a fall. So I don't know if you've used these in the past, but as you can see from here, once we break down from there, we tend to have quite a substantial fall. And once we move up above this, we tend to have a rally going on. So this just gives you an overall bigger picture of what's happening once we break out of this channel, either to the upside or the downside. So as you can see from here, we broke out around here, went up, came back to retest it, and then we went on this bull run here. And the thing is very important to note now is that we actually came back on this downward spiral in the last 24 hours. We came back, we retested the bottom of this ribbon and then moved back out. Now that doesn't mean that we won't come back down to this again, and the chances are that it does have a habit that once we check this one, it does come back and retest it again to see whether there's enough bearish pressure to move it further down. This is what I'm expecting, but I'm not convinced yet that this downward movement is on the way further down. What we can do is to use it as a confirmation that when this happens, i.e. when the market or the market price for Bitcoin goes below this final ribbon and closes a 4-hourly candle, then further check that we are actually on the way down. The next indicator that I want to show you is the BITMEX funding premium index. Now, I showed you this a few videos ago when we were down here, that when this cluster was showing us, remember it works in an inverse way. So when this cluster is at the top, that means that the price is about to move down, which it did there. Can you see there? So this move was predicting that we're on the move down. When the price of cluster, the premium index cluster, is at the bottom here, this is predicting that a move to the upside is coming. And this is what we predicted because of this particular graph. We said that with the premium index, the BITMEX premium index being on the negative side, this is more than likely going to lead to an increase. And that's what this was all about. However, if you notice, all of a sudden we've now got a cluster developing at the top. This is indicating, and we need to confirm this with a few more candles, but this is indicating that we're on the way down. So if you look left here, you can see that this is a very accurate predictor of what the price is going to do. So as you can see from here, when the cluster was at the bottom here, this was predicting that the price is moving up, and this is what happened here. If you move further to the left, you can see this cluster here was at the top there, and this was predicting a move down, and this is exactly what happened here. This cluster was at the bottom here, is predicting a move up, and this is what happened there, etc., etc. So if you keep moving to the left, you'll realize that actually this is a very accurate predictor of what's happening. So currently we've just had a few of those lines in the cluster moving in the positive direction. When this is positive, that means the market is about to move down. Okay, so if we move on to the greed and fear index for Bitcoin, you can see quite clearly here we're actually in extreme greed. This is a contrarian indicator. We're at 82 there, but yesterday we were at 88, and the day before we were actually at 90. So if we have a look at the graph, you can see that it reached the 90 mark on the 6th of November, a couple of days ago. And the last time we reached these levels was here in June 2019, when we topped off at the top of the market in 2019. So is this giving us a signal? Well, that tells me anyway, the way I interpret it is that we've reached the top for the time being. And if you look at the 1 month one, you can see that now we've started to move back down again. So this tells me that we are on the move down. We'll have to wait and see to confirm all these things, but the greed and the crypto fear and greed index is showing us that we seem to have topped out and we're on the way down. Okay, so if we now look at the relative strength index, we can see quite clearly here that while the market has been moving up from, let's say, this point here, there is a divergence, a bearish divergence forming from there. Well, it's down there, but it's down here. So this divergence is now seeming to be playing out down here. So this divergence, the divergences are very, very important. I'm not sure if you've come across this before, but I'm sure you have. And you'll realize that whenever we get a divergence, it's only a good signal that tells us that the market is on its way down. So this is telling us that it's now going to be playing downwards. Now, it took quite a while for this divergence to take place. So it generally takes a similar equal amount of time for it to work its way through. So again, this is another indicator for me that the market is slowly moving towards the bottom of the channel again and towards the 21 weekly exponential moving average. The final indicator I want to show you for now is the VWAP. I don't know if you've come across this VWAP indicator, and really I tend to use it just to give me an overall picture of when to buy and when to sell. So the crude way of looking at it is that when the price is above the yellow line, this VWAP line, that is a point where you should be looking to try and sell into strength. And when the price is below the VWAP line, then that's the price or the levels at which to actually enter into Bitcoin. So if you look historically, if I just go back a little bit here, you'll see that every time the market price for Bitcoin is below the levels, you can see that it starts to rise up. And when it reaches a certain price, it comes back below the yellow line. So if you just time them that by buying on the below the VWAP and selling above the VWAP, you'll make quite a lot of profits, even in the short term, as you can see from these movements here. So if you'd have bought there, you could have sold there and then waited for this price to come back down below the yellow line here. If you'd have bought there, you could have sold anywhere along line here and made a profit. And same here, you could have bought anywhere below the line here and you could have taken the profits there, started buying again below the yellow line here, and then started selling there. And currently, we are just trying to break below the VWAP line. So and the VWAP line currently is at around about 14,600. So the chances are it's going to move down with the averages. So, but just keep an eye on the VWAP line as well. That once we get a consistent level of prices below the VWAP line, then we know that that is where the market is beginning to regenerate the fuel for the price of Bitcoin to go back up again. Okay, so if you're looking for a trading platform to use and you haven't got one, or you've already got one and you want to add another one as an alternative, then please scroll down below our videos and you'll find that there's a tab here called Show More. And when you click on that, you'll have all the information, including the affiliate link that we have here with Etoro. And what I've done is I've given you all the good reasons why they're such a fantastic platform to use. It's very easy to actually deposit and withdraw money, as well as to actually trade on the platform. So check that one out. Actually, there is one more indicator I wanted to show you, and that is the hash ribbons indicator. Because when you see the blue buy circles here, they are a very powerful indicator. So if you look at the blue circle there, they're a very powerful indicator as to when to actually buy back into Bitcoin for the next move up. So if you look at this blue line here, blue circle, that was a great powerful indicator to go up there. This one here to go up there. And if you just keep going left, you'll see that they are a very powerful indicator and an indication that we're about to move up. So if you go through history, you'll find that it is a very, very powerful tool to use. So what I'm really trying to say here is that until I get another blue circle over here, so I'm waiting for this blue circle to appear somewhere around here. And if that happens when the price comes back to the 21 weekly exponential moving average, then that will further confirm that that is the right time to move back in until the blue circle comes back. And then we can see that that is a very strong, powerful indicator to make the next move. So let's keep monitoring that, and let's see what happens in the next few days and weeks. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you once again for watching. Much appreciated. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.